Our guest today is a level 2 strength and conditioning coach who works with the Sydney Roosters NRLW team as the high performance manager. She is an avid footy head with a mean step in Oz tag. Please welcome Emily Wilson.
You want first place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else.
It was better than later.
It was an everyday process.
Coffee's for closers only.
You're listening to the Morey Health Podcast.
How you going, Ems?
Good, how are you?
Good. I am, please excuse if I'm looking all hot and sweaty. I just got back from a game, so.
It's all good. I've been coaching all day in the sun. We're excused.
Yeah, beautiful. We're in the same sort of level at the moment, all hot and sweaty.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so for those people that don't know who you are and sort of what you do, can you give us a rundown of your current role that you're repping right now? Sydney Roosters, sort of what you're doing there and what's happened over the last couple of months for you.
Yeah, so to give you a bit of a background, I've been coaching for 9 years in a wide range of sports. Started off originally as a dance teacher and athletics coach while I was doing my undergrad degree at Morey. And towards the end of my first year, that's where I found my passion in strength and conditioning. Wanted to be physio originally, but realised I got injured in my last year and was like, I don't really want to be client to client for 8 hours, get a 5-minute break, do it again. So I thought S&C would be a bit better because at least you can drink on the fly instead of treating at the same time. So when I was finishing my undergrad degree, I got my internship with the Rabbitohs, which I know was a rival, as their sports science intern for their first grade team. I was there for 2 years before they offered me their head S&C role with their women's team.
Sorry, just hang 1 second. Ems. Just a bit of a connection issue just there for 1 second. If you could just say that again. So you were with the Harvey Norman women's team over at Souths.
Yep.
And then what happened then?
So they offered me that position back in 2018 and I've still managed to hold on to that team to this day. And during my time with their girls team as their head S&C, I managed to complete my Masters of Exercise Science with Edith Cowan University and got my level 2 ACA accreditation as well.
Can I pause you for a sec? For those people that aren't footy heads and don't understand what's going on, in terms of those that are at an NRL level, in the women's pathway, it instead of New South Wales Cup, you've got the Harvey Norman Women's Cup, and then below that you have to go back down to local area. There's no Ron Massey or President Cup or Jersey Flegg or in the only thing in junior reps now you've got Tasha Gale.
Yeah, so that goes up to 19.
Yeah. So in terms of what stage you were at for a long period, you're at that Harvey Norman Women's Cup, which is a state level competition within New South Wales area.
Yeah, which you get contracted at clubs to play. So it's not just basically turn up like a local footy club. You actually get selected, trialled, and put through a proper routine.
Yep.
And besides from all my footy, before I got up to my Rooster gig, I was also doing netball, both as a skills coach and an S&C for my local netball club. Got the kids ready for the state titles, which unfortunately got cancelled for COVID. And I also still have a throwing squad of shot put, discus, javelin throwers that I also look after their S&C as well for. So that was basically the background. And then one day I got a call up from Simon Buxton saying that he was putting my name forward with the Roosters NRLW. Didn't get told who the coach was, just got told, yep, putting your name up, don't worry, you know who it is. As I later found out, it was Jamie Feeney. So luckily I had met him previously at a conference in February. Hit it off with him really well, and then they offered me originally the assistant S&C position with the club. I was going to learn under, I can't even remember who they got, learn under that particular person, and basically get inducted into the NRLW kind of structure. And then a couple of weeks later, I got told that I had the head job instead, and had 2 days to kind of get everything organised for our original start date.
Yep.
And then in that whole
process, middle of COVID that you're getting all this?
Yeah, so this was, so I originally got told, I think in June, still doing Souths at the time being. We started back, when I got offered the head job, I think it would have been about August, in middle of August. And then we were supposed to start the 1st of September, I think. And then we ended up starting on the 17th, I think, of September.
Yep.
So to explain kind of the bubble we went into, we had to fill in a household screening form that had to educate everyone what I did on a daily basis, what my parents did and what my sister did. And even when my partner would come down and visit, I had to fill it all out from jobs to how we all traveled to get to everywhere, whether we caught like carpool, caught public transport like my sister does to go to uni. I had to go through all how many people were in her class, what the uni does for her. It was like a very long process, and we send it off to the doctor. They have to approve it for every staff member and player before we're allowed to start training. Mine got knocked back 3 times. And so there was a multitude of red flags being working in a gym, coaching people. So I was already a problem. Dad was a problem being a plumber. So we had to move myself to Bondi, live there for 6 weeks with 2 other players in our team, and basically just go to Roosters, come home. Go to Roosters, come home. We weren't allowed to do anything. I had to coach all my clients via Zoom, which was interesting, very time consuming, but so I could still work, but it had to be via Zoom on an online platform. Most of the people have to do stuff online themselves and just send videos occasionally. But yeah, it was very full on. Besides also going to Roosters and coming back, we had to fill in an app every day to record our temperature if we had any symptoms and if we had any visitation.
What athlete software do you guys use for that?
It was through the NRL, so I have no idea. The NRL ordered it, and the boys would be filling in every day too. Yeah,
gotcha.
The not umpires, refs had to do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because some of the girls were still kind of working and they had to still work to kind of survive, we had to have a COVID test 48 hours every time before we played.
The old stick up the nose and through. Jesus.
Yeah, so I had 5 COVID tests in 6 weeks.
Right. At least you know you don't got it.
Exactly. So we all knew we were safe. So yeah, I had 5 COVID tests. Luckily, we only had to get one side done. We didn't have to get both. So as soon as she was done, I was like out the door before she realized if she had made a mistake. So like it wasn't too bad at the start. It got worse. And then by the end, we were just so used to it. And we were just like, yep, in and out, no pain. But yeah, so that's what my life has been like the last 3 months. So I kind of went into a mini bubble before the official bubble. So because I didn't want to get caught with any symptoms in case I had to quarantine them and miss out, say, on week 1 of training. So all my clients got moved to my backyard to limit interaction. So they would come via my side gate. We would train outside, then they would go. So yeah, I started limiting interaction just to make sure we weren't putting the competition at risk because it only takes one person to stuff it up. So that's been my life.
So during the week, what are you doing? Who are you working with? You got your own set of clients that you're working with?
Is this pre-bubble or
now?
Now. So I have 40 athletes I look after individually. They all come and do S&C with me. Some of them are general population clients, but there's only a small handful. So I managed to convince my netball team that I look after, which was about 10 girls who are over the age of 18, and they're actually training in the gym. We tweaked it to make it specific to netball. So next year will be quite exciting. We'll have a whole year of strength under their belt and make it specific and have like a little test run. So I've got them. I've got my throwers who are technically in the S&C program as well. Got a couple of my South girls as well that see me on a regular basis. So that's what I do during the week. And I also coach gymnastics with a company that goes into schools. And when you have PE time in primary school and they'll bring out all the equipment, that's what we get to do.
That was the best.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Yeah, I love that.
So we get to muck around like a kid with them, get to actually demonstrate on the equipment. So it's pretty good fun. Yeah.
But can you do that now? Like considering the bubble?
I couldn't do it in the bubble, but can do it now.
But now that it's the season's finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as Grand Final happened, we went back to everything. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Right. Okay. Geez, you've literally been through the ringer. Like
it was
everything is just turned upside down.
Yeah, it was all worth it though. Best experience I've ever had in my life. Like the girls were so good to work with, the staff as well, having your coach ring you up hours before training, days before training. Oh, what are we doing this week? Like just to have that kind of professional environment with like resources as well. It was incredible. And plus we got to the grand final and like even though it's still a bit sad that we lost, but to still to be there, and like it was a rainy day as well, so it's one you're going to definitely remember. So yeah, crazy.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool game. I was there. Yeah.
That first half was sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's it happens. I guess when you consider all that and you only have 2 days turnover period to prepare yourself for what is to be, well, typically, I guess if you look at a men's program, everyone starts in November, preparing for a season to start end of March, start of April, right?
Yeah.
So you've get 4 or 5 months to do a preseason and program strength and conditioning properly. How are you managing, a 2-day turnaround for what is to be 6 to 8 week competition?
So I actually started before we had communication with the person who was supposed to be the head S&C. I spoke to Jamie about we needed to kind of get a program given to these girls just to see if they had an adequate gym program going. Are they doing their cardio top-ups? Just to make sure the Harvey Norman level was meeting the needs for us to basically pick up and continue with. So I was actually emailing and being in contact with all the Harvey Norman clubs that had our players in their duty of care just to find out injury history, what they were doing per week. Did they have any strength or conditioning results that we could use to kind of know what we were dealing with? So we needed to know, okay, these girls need a little bit more, so hypertrophy because their strength numbers are really bad, or let's give them some more speed. So that's what we were doing for before the big announcement. And then I started planning, but we started like 2-3 weeks after the original date. So we went from a 6-week preseason to a 2-week preseason, also dealing with everyone in the final series of the Harvey Norman comp. So I'll paint a picture for the viewers. Like their Harvey Norman Grand Final was the weekend before round 1 NRLW. So if they got injured in that grand final, we were screwed. And we had, out of our squad, including development girls, I think we had about 15 of them in that grand final. So it was still very full, and they were very battered the next day because they came to training. But it was so hard because you've got coaches ringing you up, oh, why did you set them that program? Because, they were dead for our session. I was like, but these, like the Harvey Norman girls, were having 15-minute quarters to allow for drink breaks because as trainers, we weren't allowed to run the water on. Whereas in NRLW, we're allowed to run on, didn't really matter.
The community football rules were very different this year for footy, and they're still in place.
Yeah.
And because Harvey Norman comes under community football.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of having a usual, you play a full half and trainers can run on whenever they want with water, like you see in the NRL, at every other level, we had a drinks break at quarter time.
Yeah.
And you couldn't run water on unless it was at that drinks break. Yeah,
so we had to make sure. So those girls were conditioned for 15-minute bursts. So they play half an hour halves. So as I had to pose to these coaches, I said, these girls aren't ready to play a full 30 minutes of football. Yes, that water break could be equivalent to a try being scored and converted. But what if no one scores for half an hour or kick a ball out for a stoppage of play? These girls need to be ready. And again, it was going to be hard either way because they hadn't done it all year. And also having, I think it was at least 2.5 months off over that COVID lockdown. So they've done all this prep. They've pretty much had 3 preseasons this year just to make sure they were ready to play. So that was very
one preseason is enough. No one wants to do more than one preseason.
Yeah, exactly. Our preseason for Roosters was a little bit more kinder on them, considering they were still playing, so to speak, because of given what we had to do.
Yep.
But we worked around it. So instead of focusing on what we couldn't do, I looked at what we were given. All right, so what can we do? Jamie wanted them to play, Jamie Feeney this year, wanted them to play very quick and fast and with a lot of support. So that meant they had to be really fit. So the first 20 minutes of every warm-up, I got to have all the girls. We got to do dynamic stretching as always. Then we did speed, change of direction, which ended up being progressed into reactive agility, and then also a skill element. So we were in 3 groups and rotated. That way it was met 3 times a week, and that's why the girls looked fast and could do all the breaks when you watch them on the game. And then in conjunction with that, to teach them support play, we played multiple conditioning games that encouraged in the rules for them to be getting used to support play. And we would have them split up into 3 teams. 2 would verse each other, and 1 would do straight line conditioning with me, and then they would just rotate. That was one of the only ways we could really do it and make all parties happy, and they were still going to be fit. And it just meant it was going to transition a lot quicker, considering we only had the 2 weeks. And because every club plays a different way, we had to play the Rooster way. So trying to teach that to the girls, like it's all the same stuff.
When you say the Rooster way, are you saying what they do in the men's team and comes across?
Yeah, so Robbo wanted the girls to play the same as the boys. That's why there was the big emphasis of the support play and learning all the calls. I picked up some of them. I don't know all of them, but like it's the same stuff every club pretty much does. Just got a
different name for it.
Yeah. So so the girls could pick it up straight away. It was just remembering what call was going to be called out. So that was more of the challenge. So like week 1 of preseason was all the conditioning games, trying to get a base started as much as we can. Week 2, about potentially, I think by Thursday, he was ready to like chuck me into the deep end and actually do an opposed session with 13 on 13, which was the first time they've played as its proper team, which actually it worked quite well. And then round 1 again, more team focus. His conditioning games were still there, but it wasn't the main priority, obviously. They did more opposed towards the end to get the plays right. Same thing happened for round 2 against the Warriors. And then when we confirmed and beat the Warriors for our second win, we were straight into the grand final. And that's when the proper prep got a bit more serious, because that always you plan to win from day 1.
The grand final.
Yeah, plan to win.
Especially at Roosters.
Yes, we've got to go back to back to back.
You don't get any chats from Uncle Nick, do you?
No.
No? Doesn't come on down? Tell you how to do things? No? All right.
And then, so once the Warriors had done, we rested players, we added in more conditioning time so we could get the match fitness just up a little bit more, especially the girls who came off bench. And that was pretty much it. Started to do a bit more concrete plays, and I mean, the result happened.
How many sessions a week are you doing?
3. So we basically had 6 team sessions. So we had girls coming from the Central Coast and Newcastle coming down to train with us. So they
some from Queensland.
Yeah. So the girls from Queensland were there from the start to finish. The 2 girls. So our halfback Sahara, and then our she's second row was Caitlin Phillips. So we had those 2 girls come down, and they stayed with me in Bondi. They were my roomies. And then we had the Central Coast girls coming down with the Newcastle girls. They didn't have to come to the Monday session during preseason. Once their Harvey Norman comp was finished, they had to come Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And then sometimes we had our captain's run, but we always had to have a training session 48 hours before game day to make sure we had a COVID test.
Right. Gotcha. And so were they evening sessions, or are they during the middle of the day? Like, are these girls taking their whole week off from work, considering they're meant to be in a bubble?
So it was always in the afternoon, because some of our staff also had full-time jobs. So some of them worked in the office and still had to do like administration roles. So we would get there probably about 3:30, ready for strapping with the physio. And the gym would be open from 3:30 till like 4:45, because they also weren't allowed to use the gym. So we opened up the gym for them as well. They would train in there. Most of the girls had an S&C program, because being at the elite level, they've gotten their head screwed on and gotten them a proper S&C. So they were all looked after, and there was only like a handful that I had in to duty care over. So we all did the gym every single day, more so the Monday, Tuesday. And then it was like a more like kind of low-key session on Thursday, depending on how tired they were feeling from training, and their other training sessions with their clubs. And then we would be on the field by 5. We were finished by 7, in the car by 7:10. First time ever we finished on time in a club. Like, normally, you know how the coach goes, oh, yeah, another
everyone hangs around, has a chat.
Yeah, he promised us 2 hours. He got us done by 7, so it was enough time for the coast girls to get back at a reasonable hour and go to sleep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so it was very well run. Captain's run also was a little bit earlier. Those were the good days. We got to get out. And then even game day was weird. They were long days, especially to Canberra for game 1.
Yeah, do you want to talk through that?
So we had to be at the Leagues Club to be picked up. I think it was 5:45. We were on the bus.
Morning?
In the morning. Had to be on the bus by 6. We drove. We weren't allowed to stop anywhere because obviously bubble rules. And we did stop at Goulburn to stretch our legs. And someone had to go in and get us coffee and bring it back out because we weren't allowed to go in. Jump back on the bus. We get there. There were tents set up because there's not enough dressing rooms at GIO, which is, I mean, fair enough. I understand that. So we had to be in separate dressing rooms because of the COVID cleaning and everything. Yep. We got there an hour before kickoff, warm up, got the job done. We win, go back. We're straight on the bus an hour later, straight back home. No celebratory Maccas on the way home, straight back home.
I know the one too. There's only one on the way out of Canberra. We all stopped there. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was, and it was the same against Bankwest as well. In and out, get it done. We got to have our
Bankwest is a bit easier, but the facilities are well set up for COVID, even though they weren't meant to be. They just happened to be that way.
Yeah, it was good. So we were in the same dressing room as the Rabbitohs that night.
Yeah.
So because they didn't need our dressing room until hours later, we didn't have to be pushed out so quickly. Mm-hmm. And then ANZ, running the risk of being the second game, we got there with 20 minutes before warm up because we weren't allowed to be in there until a certain time.
Nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Just the hoops they make you jump through, and then you're just like, yep, okay, what else? And then they throw another one at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane.
I mean, it's all to get a competition happening, which wasn't going to happen at the start of the year. So, yeah, I guess you got to take what you can get.
Definitely. And then so because you guys had a really successful campaign and whatnot, can you talk me through sort of what grand final day looked like? We heard what round one was like, but, in terms of preparation, when do you said you start from as soon as you got the role, pretty much you were thinking about it, which is, I guess, the expectation at Roosters and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But maybe take me through the week of the grand final and sort of like you girls knew it was coming up. How does that change your scheduling and sort of what went on throughout that week?
So as soon as we played the Broncos, we told them, Sunday recovery, go for a swim. We were allowed to swim at a beach, just as long as it wasn't an indoor pool. We were allowed at a beach. Okay. Apparently. Anyway, so we encouraged them to go for a swim, go for a walk, roll out, do the necessary recovery. We had training on Monday, which meant video review, talk about what went wrong, talk about what we can improve on, because obviously we lost the Broncos, which it was a weird feeling. And, obviously we wanted to win, but, you want to win the next week against them for the big dance and whatnot. So, yeah, training Monday, usual structure, more conditioning games again because it's 2 days after game. It's kind of like a flush out session, minimal contact. Then recovery day again on Tuesday. Wednesday, we came back to training a little bit harder, more opposed, more contact, more tackling drills again. Same as what we've been doing all 6 weeks. Yep. Again, Thursday recovery, come back on Friday, get COVID test. We also have our team photo. We have all the media has been around us all week. So obviously trying to tell the girls, just block out the white noise, focus on the job getting done, which I was actually very impressed with how all the girls handled it because we weren't the ones TikToking or taking photos left, right, center or giving bantering with the other clubs. We got it done, heads down, very humble the whole process, which was quite amazing to watch alongside everyone else. And then after our captain's run on Friday for our final training session, you could tell everyone was a bit upset because we built a family kind of culture, like what you saw with Penrith. It was exactly the same with us girls. Everyone was
to
there.
The end.
Yeah, and everyone was there. Love, the family love was there from the start. It was so good and warm and fuzzy. So what we did was
How do you build culture in X weeks, in no time? How do those girls build that culture? Team building exercises? You can't go anywhere.
So Kylie Hilda was the brains behind it all. She would have say 15 minutes before training. She would kick out all us coaches. Apparently I was allowed to be in the group for the girls, but I always had to have meetings beforehand. But kick the boys out. They would have a bonding session, what rugby league means to them kind of thing, and know everyone's stories. And then before training every time, after they had their first session, they did a game called Bang. I don't know if you played it. They stand in a circle. And if the person in the middle says their name, they go bang. And so we played that. Eyes Up was another one we played. So just a small little game to kind of build them in, have that interaction with everyone. Learn each other's names was another big one.
Yeah.
So that was how we built the culture at the start. They were always there for each other. They did their skills at the before and after, which they were like, oh, come on, why don't you practice your kicking with me kind of thing. And then on Friday, it was so cute what they organised. They had organised presents for everyone, staff included. So the development girls got a present to say oh, thank you because these development girls didn't get a contract. They were never going to set foot on the field. So they were there basically helping us make numbers, pretend to be, say, the Dragons for the week so we could learn how to play against them. So they got given a gift by the leadership crew. They got us a present for all staff to be and said a speech about how much they mean, how much what we did meant to them. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then a few of the other girls, so the Queensland girls got a gift from the team because basically they sacrificed 7-8 weeks to come down. They also have to quarantine right now as well, still in the hotels, even though, some of the restrictions have been eased a little bit. What else happened? Oh, and we've had team dinners. So even though we couldn't go anywhere, food came in. We had a few team dinners, and we did the same on that last training night. And then what the girls had organised for each player was with the jersey presentation. They had about 1 to 2 minutes of videos from their loved ones saying good luck for the game, not only for them, but for your team. Thank you for all your hard work being put in. So, yeah, it was this real family kind of vibe. We were all there. You could tell they played for one another compared to some of the other teams. So it was nice, little warm, fuzzy feelings. And then we recovered again on Saturday, brought that energy with them on grand final day, and they were all talkative. They were all happy. They didn't have that nervous energy per se. Like they were there ready to do the job. And then
even off the back of the week before, they're turning up ready to go.
Well, yeah, because I think most of them saw it as like a trial game. It was really hard to kind of think for it because like we're versing them again the following week. This week, I mean, it kind of didn't matter, but it sort of did. Because imagine if, like Broncos, so we went undefeated. Like that would have been cool to put the respect back in the jersey, which we did, and also do it undefeated. And then again, we lost. We knew what we did wrong. It wasn't even a bad thrashing. Like we still scored the most points against them compared to the other teams. So we were going again positive. We were fine. And then again, we scored 2 points in 2 minutes. 2 tries in 2 minutes. So we could have easily done it.
Gone anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think we tried too hard because again, we wanted it badly, and you could see their faces after the game. Lots of hugs. Like, put your head up. You still played with all your heart. Like, again, they could have smashed us by 40. We let them smash us by 10. So, yeah, you can tell they still put the effort in. They were there for each other and whatnot. But,
yeah. And then I guess now that that's all over and whatnot, so where does prep look like for next year now?
Well, 14 of our ladies are in the Origin. So they're prepping for that at the moment in quarantine.
Yeah.
And they'll go back to their club level, so the Harvey Norman teams. Depending on what their teams want to do, they're most likely looking at a 4 to 5 month preseason, which the Harvey Norman comp pretty much lays all the foundation for us. We need that to go smoothly, basically, if we want to have fit and healthy in one piece players. Yep. Once they've done their 5 months preseason, rumor has it they start round 1 in April. For that, I think it's going for about 12 weeks, not too sure. They'll play all that, get their game fitness up. That's how that will select.
That's a much shorter season than normal.
Yes.
Yeah. So does that mean the women's NRL might be longer?
Yeah. It's been talked that
there's nothing confirmed, but
we've been told that we should be versing everyone twice next year. And we are also getting an uninterrupted 4-week preseason because Harvey Norman.
I was going to say you get a grace period this time.
Yes, Harvey Norman must be finished. I get 4 weeks to prep them, and then we play. So, again, the NRL is saying we need to get the best product on the field. We want to do that by giving you a proper prep, no more reserve grade conflict. Hopefully 6 games, 7 if there's a final, 8 if there's a grand final kind of concept. But, yeah, so that's what it's going to probably look like next year. We don't have to look at them until they're back in our colours next year. It's just the way it works, but you still keep in contact with the girls when you verse them, with like when I'm with Souths.
Yeah, because you're still there at the Harvey Norman level.
Yep. Do that because then I can ensure the base is being built, make sure it's ready for, and also not only would I be looking after, say, our Rooster girls, but any future potential girl to make sure they get a contract as well with the other 3 clubs. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Now, I guess like for you in terms of career aspects and sort of whatnot, where does that put you? Like, are you able to, is there a pathway for you to sort of go across and have a look at what the men's do and incorporate what they do into your work? And then potentially if you feel ready and you can put your hat in the ring for a potential role that might come up in the future, like, is that opportunity available to you, or is it all because of COVID? Like, it's much more restricted than it typically would be?
Yeah, it's extremely restricted at the moment. So if you want to go visit our first grade like sport club, no matter what the sport, boy or girl, you can't get in because they most likely will be forming another bubble again. I know NRL will be forming a bubble next year, but they can have a little bit more relaxed until a certain point, I believe. It's not straight away for them. So they can pre-season fine, and then I think a couple of weeks before maybe trial game 1, that's when it starts. Not too sure on that. So I've spoken to the Roosters and trying to see if I can spend a couple of weeks, given that I can't go visit first grade, but a couple of weeks with the junior reps, the under the flag, the 21s.
Oh, okay, the men's, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to try and do as much as we can with the men's.
I think Fleg's getting an upgrade in their age group because their season got cut. So all those players get another year to play.
Yeah, so I'm going to see, because our staff for the women's team was the flag and junior rep staff. So because their seasons got cancelled, we're like, let's bring you on and actually give you a bit of footy. So obviously want to go catch up with them, see them in their elements. So I'll be visiting hopefully for like a week or 2 and then go up to the flag. And then because they have an association with Norths, if Canterbury Cup if they have their team in, I'll most likely see if I can jump in there, spend a couple of weeks there on and off during their pre-season, and hopefully when their season starts, if I've got time. But at the moment, it's more trying to get exposure and build connections with as many men's teams at the moment. I've been advised to do Canterbury. I want to work for first grade one day, and I've only really worked with female teams. So to make sure I have the skill set and knowledge to do that for first grade, I need to try and get as much I can with men's teams. So
it's the same way like a coach would build their way up the ladder as well, and I guess a physio or even a player to some extent. I mean, most guys go from either reps or flag straight into NRL. Only a few sort of the rare birds that get to New South Wales Cup and then go off because usually they're a bit old. But who knows? Like they're still in the running.
Yeah.
So if you're not there, you can't get picked, but that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what I've been advised to do for the moment. But I do want to work in netball in the future. Like as much as I do want to work with the men's first grade, I still have a very strong passion with my netball.
Because you still play, don't you?
No, it's first season this year. We've never actually played before properly. We've played at school. But I've been coaching netball for 6 years, so I have grown a love to it, and I love the work ethic I've managed to produce with my team. But like I do the skill side of that too. I rather just see what I can do, just doing the S&C side, putting, that's what I specialize in, and do what I do well. So I do want to make Suncorp netball because I think it'd be really cool. And then hopefully get that paired up with an AFL club and then go down that path.
Career-wise or player-wise?
Career-wise. We ain't playing. We're too old. Jokes. Nah, body's too old for that. And if I get injured, I can't work. So yeah, definitely a coach. We're not an athlete. We think we're a weightlifter, but not a good one.
Fair enough. In terms of, I guess, sort of COVID, you alluded to a couple of things that sort of impact how you prepared for this season and sort of all the considerations that you were doing. What else? Was there anything in particular that kind of jumped out and goes, oh yeah, consider this. This really impacted us and how we do things out of the ordinary?
I don't think anything really impacted us at Roosters because we had, again, it's a professional facility. So we had a gym available when we couldn't do it in a public place, and we had a field. It was locked off, everything. Like, I think it went uninterrupted, to be honest, in terms of it was just frustrating. We lost 4 weeks of preseason. That was more the restriction we had, but still at the end of the day, we managed to train 3 days a week. We got to the grand final. But it's more like the Harvey Norman levels got impacted because they had 13 weeks off and had South had a 4-week preseason because we had a bye round 1. But you had all those girls trying to start from scratch again and sending so because obviously all gyms shut down, we went from group classes to individual sessions, so they couldn't train, and there wasn't a point driving out to just do the one-on-one. They prefer to train in a group because it's team sport. So we had to send them I sent them a massive Excel booklet of all these HIIT classes, circuit classes that I had taught previously, changed it all for them if they had zero or minimal equipment, got them to do that. We set them challenges every day. So the winner would come up with the next one to be like, yeah, okay, you put me through hell, I'm going to put you through hell kind of thing.
Were they excluded for the next day?
No, they could still try and win it again if they really wanted to, because just to try and make them keen. What else did I send them? I think, they got a running program as well because they could all run being field. So that was very different, trying to motivate the girls to be like, yeah, we still have a season starting. We never got cancelled, unlike Queensland, who reintroduced the girls comp back. So we were still always going ahead. They had never cancelled us. So that was a struggle. And obviously with the gyms closed, it was really hard, not only them, but also my clients to have a space to train. So backyard gym got set up, built my own squat rack. Well, yeah, built my own squat rack.
The old concrete in the bucket and a bit of timber.
Yeah, and they're like done like this, so you can like put the bar in.
Yeah.
All over my Instagram. And then I got a makeshift wood platform. So I just chuck a plank of wood down and that was going to be the platform. It's just too short for when I do my split jerk, but it works fine with everyone else. Before I got all my plates and bars in, because obviously there was a massive back order, I put bricks in a backpack, had my own weight vest and essentially like a mini barbell you could use it for. Used all the bands like everyone else was doing, the standard stuff. Luckily I had collected a bunch of equipment to take to the track for my throwers over the years. So I was sweet and I just needed the bar and the plates eventually, not only for them, but also my own training to keep that going. Because they're going to be fit to run water, to run your heavy water bottle out. So yeah, it was all kind of, you got creative. You just stalk a few Instagram people just to be like, okay, what's everyone else doing? What can I kind of do? Pick up and improve. Yeah, so we haven't benched in 6 months. We do floor press, which is actually protect some of the girls who've got bad shoulder injuries. And then before we got given a bar, if the girls had maxed out on the dumbbells, the band got added to the dumbbell. Same with, we were doing, even with the bag stuff, they would still hold, say, a front squat band, but they had the bag on the back just to keep loading up a little bit more. A little bit of an overkill, but what are you going to do when they max it out? Like, you could get them to do extra reps, extra sets, less rest, tempo and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, you're going to have to keep increasing the stimulus to get an effect. But yeah, that would probably be the more of the restriction problems.
Challenging wise, yeah. Equipment.
And then not being able to throw until, like, even though I had a squad of 5, I met the government's requirements and we were very socially distanced and everything. Half the kids didn't have their own javelin. So a javelin's very expensive equipment to get. So we had to somehow get equipment because we weren't allowed to go into the shed, because that would have been multiple contact points. Even if you cleaned and everything, COVID could have been laying on a trace kind of thing. So we had to make sure every kid had their own equipment to actually be able to train. So that was another probably challenging thing as well.
Yeah, one of the funniest things when the lockdown first came in, I went down and did a training session on a field when fields were meant to be closed. Yeah, and apparently someone called the popo on me to say that someone was training on the field. It was just me.
Yeah.
Just me out there with some cones and just going ham, and can't do that. Get off. And so I had a conversation with the bloke. I was like, look, like I'm an exercise professional. Like I do this for a living. Like I needed myself to actually put myself through these things.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, well, too bad. Get off, otherwise you'll get a fine or something. And then I asked him, I was like, so can I train on the other side of the fence? And they're like, well, yeah. And I was like, hang on, what's the difference between 50 meters of grass?
Yeah.
Like,
and so
a picket fence, like nothing.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I'm glad that sort of some common sense prevailed there and sort of has come back into play now. But it was a bit how you going initially for me too. So yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, in terms of those training strategies that you were talking about, is there any that you could sort of talk me through that you use with the girls or with some of your other athletes that you think, or you should probably think about this, or what are you doing for your loading? I guess, are you going through and building them up and having some loading phases and deloading phases for such a short season, or even if you think of a normal season, how are you approaching that with these athletes?
So basically I would assess them and see where they're at. If they can't squat, there's no point going through a massive loading phase. You could just basically do 3 sets of 5 until the skill is installed into their system. At the end of the day, you can't load up the system if it's crap. Like, you need to be able to move properly, because you're only going to put them in a risk of injury. Especially with a squat or a deadlift. And plus, you need some of those movement patterns when you sprint. So funnily enough, when I got the girls at South, because we didn't have much time for speed, so they were all doing deadlifts. Half of them weren't raising with their chest. They're doing the stripper approach by raising with the bum. And, talk about their posture. Running was up nice and tall just because of how we cued him in the gym. So everything links over at the end of the day. So again, I think my biggest focus is if they still can't do the movement pattern, there's no point doing a loading structure, and I still wouldn't test them until they are ready under load. Because again, there's no point, you're wasting time when you could have had 20 minutes fixing the technique rather than seeing what it can do at a max level.
And plus you're going to get a much better lift in terms of how much weight you can lift when your technique is right compared to when you have a shocking technique.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a practice with the NRLW. There wasn't really much you could do. You just had to basically give them a competition program, which is higher intensity, lower volume. Wouldn't really do more than say 3 sets max on certain things. Always do power first, like just your general stuff. There wasn't really anything to it. With the netball girls, because they were all starting, they were sore more often because obviously when you learn a new program, you get that soreness kind of straight away. So, and they also had a 7-week season as well. They were still under the short thing because of the community rules. So that was another good little practice. So they didn't do anything in terms of like hypertrophy or strength really until the season had finished, because it took us 7 weeks to make sure everything was installed properly. We covered the basics of squat or floor press instead of bench, deadlift, RDLs. We started some kind of to get ready for like the overhead movements, because obviously with netball your hands are above yourself pretty much the whole time. We did our push press, overhead press into push press into a power jerk by the end of it. And then we started doing what's called a jerk balance. So you're in that split stance, you dip and then push it up. It's kind of like the power jerk, but you're just in your split stance, your feet don't move.
Yeah,
so we're up to that now. So we're still building up our tolerance overhead and then becoming a little bit more coordinated in that split stance with better balance. Then they can do the actual split jerk behind the neck and progress.
How many athletes that are performing at like a pretty high level, state or higher, that come to you and you look at them and you go, how are you not injured in just how terribly they move, how uncoordinated they are?
I actually have a girl who recently got a contract for Melbourne City, and I'm like, how the hell are you not injured? And I asked her, I was like, have you ever been injured? No. I said, how many days have you spent in the gym? Oh, just this week with you. Right. Okay. So it's the same. It's the women's program though. Like no one. This is the whole argument with that whole ACL thing at the beginning of the year. No one puts a girl into a gym like the boys do from under 15 with the para mats, and then
some are younger, much younger. But
exactly. Like they don't put this pathway for the girls, which is why they're always injured when they come to you at say 25 and they're a gun of their sport but don't know how to squat. I'm like, how the hell are you still in one piece? So yeah, it just baffles me that like there's no, like I understand lack of funding, not enough resources, but like just go and get yourself an S&C. Like if you wanted to make it, like you think you would have thought, I need to be strong, I need to be, I might have to put on size to put up with people like Steph Hancock or even Ellie Johnson, like those bigger girls. Like you don't want to be a twig playing rugby.
Rayan when she was playing.
Yeah, imagine for her. Yeah. So yeah.
What other tips would you have for some of these girls that are trying to get into NRL women's or coming up in any sort of elite sport? If you could sort of transfer those principles.
Yeah. Well, get yourself into a gym. Like if you can find like a local. Don't go for a PT per se. Try and get an S&C because they have more of a sport background than your typical PT. They might have the ASCA strength qualification, but you just try and find yourself an S&C. Usually if it's like one associated with a club that you might be getting into, ask if they can do extra sessions with them after training because you need to learn, obviously, strength. You need to get strong because strength underpins everything. It'll make you pick up your technique better. You'll be able to have more running economy, so you're not going to get as tired when you've got conditioning because your legs are used to fatigue. Everything corresponds and you'll get faster. I think we're still going. You just jittered for a second.
No, we're here. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything correlates to your strength. And then you, not only with that, you're going to learn how to jump. You're going to learn how to move. You need to get these good quality movement patterns going because it decreases your risk of injury. And if you can squat for girls, it's been told at least 1.5 times your body weight, your injury risk from here goes down to about here. So that's my goal. I want to be able to squat double body weight. Well, wanted it by the end of the year before COVID bubble 1 and 2.0 happened. But if you can squat double body weight, you are less likely to get injured just because you're strong, you move properly. You're not going to be able to squat double body weight if you are a crap mover. So if you can go get an S&C, get all your movement patterns down pat, and hopefully they can also take you for some field sessions where you can learn that speed and agility and do some field conditioning as well. That's going to improve your best chances of getting into a team. Yes, the technique will come. You can always learn that. But if you've got, say, an extra hour or 2 per week, try and get into the gym twice a week. And then hopefully you've got a good club where they can install that skill side for you as well. And then you might even be lucky who's got an S&C who's played footy before or played netball before. So they can introduce that all for you. But again, if you've never been into a gym before, you're kidding yourself if you think you're going to get a contract, because some people actually get picked based on fitness data as well. So if you want to be, I think in the Indigenous All-Stars, you had to get an 18 on the 30-15. Yeah.
Do you want to explain that for people that don't know what that is?
So 30-15 is like a very, very, very fancy beep test. So it goes over 40 meters and you've got 30 seconds of active running, 15 seconds of rest, and it's like beep, beep, beep. So you get beeps all the time to kind of
what's it like?
So you got A, B, C. I haven't had to do one of these since like February. It's been a while.
Me too.
So say you start at A and they might get you to finish at B. So you got to run all the way up, all the way back, and then they might get you to finish at B. Then you'd walk to C to start again. You might go up, back, finish again at B, walk to A. So that you have to complete that all in the 30 seconds. Get a 15-second rest to walk to the next station. But because people mistime it, they've already finished and they've like still jogging and like, I'm here kind of thing. Yeah, it's long. It's like depending on, so level 18 would probably take you about 20 minutes to get up to, depending on if they started, you say, at 12. So when all the girls were over like 14, I started them at 12. I was like, oh, you'll be fine. And just to speed up the process because it took forever and you don't want to waste time when you could be learning how to tackle properly.
So wait, what was the level? Because I got 18.3 earlier this year when I first did it.
It goes up by 5. So 10.
Whatever. I got 18
5,
something.
Would have been 10.5. Sorry, yeah, 18.5. Yeah, it goes up in 5.
18.5. Okay. Yeah, I got 18 something. So
yeah.
Right. Does that mean I qualify?
Yeah, you can play women's rep.
Yeah, the girls. All right, I'm in. Maybe I can ref them.
Yeah, so that when you've got teams that need specific fitness scores, you're gonna have to get yourself an S&C.
Gotcha. I think the main principle there is just get yourself educated on, health and fitness, and actually learn about looking after yourself and your body and preparing yourself for the physical requirements and mental requirements of playing high-end sport, if that's what your goals are. And even if you're not trying to make high-end sport, that's not bad to sort of learn about how you could be a better athlete.
Yeah. Or even just survive your social sport. Because again, if you don't do anything and sit at a desk all day, you're most likely going to be very sore the next day if it's all you do is play like Oztag or social netball. So
can you talk us through that, Ems? How's your injuries going?
We're good. We get injured every round one from running around too much. No, it's like, again, we lift, we don't run. So, body freaks out a little bit, but we're not as sore anymore. You wake up with a few bruises, but yeah, when you train 4 days a week, you're fine.
Yeah, sure. Right. What's rest? Who needs that?
Yeah,
how can I train it?
What rest is.
Nice. You were talking about some of the data you collect?
Yeah, we don't collect much because I don't have a budget for fancy equipment, and actually we didn't have GPS units either. So normally I do a very old school approach because I'm not going to get all the fancy technology until, obviously I make it that day. And plus I'll have by then, because I'll be an S&C, you'll have your sports scientists worrying about that. And all you basically will be checking would be like your load volume, the reps and sets, which you already program on your sheet before they turn up. So that's pretty much your load data. If they complete it, yeah, cool. You've planned it appropriately. Don't really need to change anything. If they might be sore the next day, you just look back at the data. I'll make a little bit of a tweak. So I basically make sure my sessions are written in terms of like with all the gym stuff with all the athletes, and just make sure it's more with volume, just to make sure we don't go over it too much. I always ask them an RP at the end to know how far I've pushed it.
Are you comparing week to week, or are you comparing in total, or both?
Because 2 sessions could be different. So we do compare it because one day is more of a general strength. The other day we do more of our fun power stuff. So
you compare to the same session the week before?
week before, yeah.
Gotcha.
Just to make sure because say you could either go up by 2.5 kilos or go up by 5. So just to make sure if the jump's too much, do we need to deload it? And also at the same time, which is a problem with working with female athletes. Not a big problem, but also their period cycle can also fluctuate a little bit. When they're really, really tired when it's the week before. The week before you actually have your period is actually your problem week, not when you're on it. So that's why I have no sympathy for them when they're actually menstruating. But when you can tell when they walk in and they're sluggish, they can't sleep properly. So that's when you look back at the data, what they're doing that week. Okay, you might just decrease it a bit. But if the girls tell me when they actually have their periods, I will coordinate their weeks according to it. So that's what, I like to, instead of tracking RPEs, because sometimes they can give a false RPE, I try and track it according to their period week. So if their periods are consistently turning up the same day every 28 days, then everything's harmonious, they're not overstressed, everything is good. You can probably maybe ramp it up a little bit and see if they respond. If they're skipping periods and you work out what other stresses are going on, then you could be like, okay, something's going on. She might be at risk of injury as well. And then you can look at that also. It's called the Fitter Woman app, and they can actually log in their RPEs as well. So you can know, all right, that one they felt a little bit more heavy, like higher on the intensity scale than, say, another day where you plan maybe it would be like a 5 out of 10. So that's more the data I look at, just to make sure their still bodies are in check, because they're more like general pop, because you still got to treat them as like a general pop because they're still working, studying. They're not like the boys who are full-time. So you kind of have to worry about the whole picture. And if we had the app software, there would be the daily questionnaire you'd send out and load how their wellness is going. Because at the end of the day, if they've had a crappy mood, you're not going to get anything out of them. And then in terms of testing data, we have 1 week of testing in preseason where we do the 30-15. I test we only do the 30-15 on the field. We don't have any speed gates for speed. We don't try and...
No, are you doing agility testing?
No. So normally...
Just even stopwatch? Like you said, you're going back to old school.
No, my reaction times are crap. So they're going to be so inaccurate. Done.
You improved a whole second.
Yeah, and plus you don't have a lot of time. And also depends on the coach you get. You also don't... If they have never tackled before in their life, you need to spend time on that. Yeah, you just got to weigh out what you can do right now. Again, you don't want to waste, say, 20 minutes of your hour session. Like, you've got to weigh up the pros and cons of what you're going to do. And that's how I look at the whole testing in the gym. So what I did last year was, for the whole of November, December, we installed the skill. You can kind of turn it into, say, a month of 2 weeks of learning. We put them on some hypertrophy, very basic hypertrophy, which still installed the skill and was giving us a bit of conditioning at the same time. As soon as we finished after Christmas, because they...
80-85% program?
No, it was even lower than that.
Okay.
It was very low because these girls had never been in the gym before.
Right.
So,
65 plus-ish. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, between 65 to like 75. If they were more developed, it was more the 80. But they were doing up to 8 to 10 reps of the squat. Same with the bench.
You're doing 10 RM testing, or are you doing 1 RM?
No, 1 RM. So I know some people say it's unsafe, but you want to see what they can do. You don't want to just, all right, cool, that's your 3 RM, but is it actually your 3 RM? Let's see.
You really got to consider your population group. You do have to consider them as athletes when you're testing them.
Yeah.
But when you think of total sort of program development, that's when you take your holistic approach. Yeah.
And then again, we are learning from November to December, come back after Christmas, that's when I tested. And again, a testing day takes up the whole day.
Yeah.
So again, you're wasting time. So, and like every day is a test in the gym. If they've done the program, say on their last, all right, let's see how many reps you can pump out. Then you can get an idea. All right, it's really easy for you. Or, one at the next set, say we gave you 3, just keep going up and see how you go. You can kind of get an assessment that way. But yeah, you try and collect data for the sake of it, because you might collect data and never look at it. And then what was the point of collecting in the first place? So I think
that should all just come into sort of your programming anyway. Sorry, Ems, you just froze up there for a sec. We'll just hang on, bud. Yeah, all you're talking about data and all that. I just hope you don't drop out right now. there's just a really pretty picture of you being frozen right now. We'll see if it fixes itself out. It might cut her off and put it back on. But yeah, so okay, we're back. All good. Sorted. I thought I'd lost you for good then for a second, but no.
No, we're here.
Yeah, just the internet connection. Okay, we're sort of talking about data and like 1RM testing and whatnot. Is there any other sort of anaerobic tests maybe that you're doing in terms of running specifics or even like a Wingate?
Nah, so I wouldn't do a Wingate because we're not on a bike. If we're a cyclist kind of sport, you do that, but like, you got to kind of pick the test that you're going to need for your sport.
So you're doing 40-meter sprint?
Yeah, so in an ideal world, you'll set the time gates up from 0 to 40, and then you'll have one at 10, 20, 30, 40 and get their split time. If you had all that, I would also do vertical jump testing as well for muscular power, and I'd have the broomstick or the dowel on their shoulders so they weren't using arm, it was solely from their legs. And I actually wouldn't do any 1RM testing to catch up. I would actually do the mid-thigh pull test because it's a lot safer, a lot less taxing, and you can even include it in like in there earlier of the session and do like a competition kind of thing with the players, and you put it up on the TV in the gym and they're like fighting for that top position. And you can even add the vertical jump test more often as well and do it like your plyometrics for the day.
Almost make it like it's a training itself rather than just testing.
Yeah, so that's how I would do it, because then you'll get a more natural result rather than, oh my God, it's testing, I don't think I can do it, oh my God, my contract's on the line kind of thing. So you just make it a little bit more like into the program, and then they're going to not realize it. I guess that's how I would do it. You trick them. Half the time I have to trick some of my general pop clients into talking them in, and I slightly put the weight on because some of them are like, no, it's too heavy, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I do it. I'm like, oh, by the way, just PB. So you kind of have to trick with their mind to get kind of what you need. And that's why I prefer running like a time trial over the 30-15 because it's got a big learning effect to it. So the more often they do, they'll know, okay, I can pace myself here. So you won't get a very reliable result.
First 1 or 2 times you do it, yeah.
Yeah. And plus time trial is done in 7 minutes compared to 20 plus setup. So again, if you haven't worked it out, we're very efficient because again, most S&Cs don't get a lot of time. So you need to think what you want to do. Some people might think I'm being a bit like lazy considering we don't test a lot. But again, if I don't have time to look at it, what's the point? And if I don't have a lot of
how
time,
is it going to really inform your practice? Like in terms of GPS data, like would you guys be collecting that and using that or supposed to be or?
Yeah, so we collected it all for the Roosters. We looked at it, but the coach didn't really care with the numbers. Like he's not a big numbers guy. So again, old school, he played rugby league.
Train hard, play hard, win.
Oh, no. He didn't want to smash them all. He was a very like holistic approach. He had his brain screwed on. He knew what the essence, like the performance side meant. So he was like very welcoming to any feedback I'd given him. And
it's not all just go to the grass hills and start running, lads.
It was like proper
gals.
Girls. We're all at the end of the
you
day.
know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. I was saying that as a gender inclusive term, but that's fine.
So we didn't really care about the numbers. We didn't even want to see the numbers after the game. Like, so I had a sticky bear cut him as long as again we knew
Did you have like a distance that you like had him capped up for running, like per week?
Well, it's hard to tell with the conditioning game. So to tell everyone, we didn't use the GPS data until round 1 in the training because there was a bit of a organization problem with getting like a computer ready to set up the units and whatnot. And then even I could have used the units, but I couldn't have seen the data. So I just didn't put them on. There was like, again, no point. So I was like, I knew roughly how much, say, the positional data had to kind of meet and how to mimic it at training. But again, we could tell. So the physio would see the girls every day because most like every girl would have at least one thing strapped, or we would have conversation with them. And if they're complaining of muscle soreness, we talk about what they've done for the week. Okay, then there's no running for you tonight. So that's it was more conversation. Yes, the girls might be saying us some little white lies to get out of training, but these girls actually, wanted to be there.
They want to be there.
So you can actually trust what they're saying to us. And if we were to look at the GPS data, coming into a game, you wouldn't want to hit too many Ks, say on your Thursday. Obviously, the Thursday, 2 days before game, you want to keep it a little bit reduced, and even on captain's run. So that's generally the gist you would use it for. You look at your high speed meters because of the hamstring loading. You do too many high speed meters, you're at risk of potentially tearing a hamstring. But that's probably the only really thing you'd be really, really worried about.
What's your cap on high speed meters?
Wouldn't know. Never looked at it before. Even with South, we don't have GPS units, so we don't necessarily.
It's just sort of it's a consideration in the back of your head when you program.
Yeah, just a consideration. Don't do too much. It's the same when you program your conditioning. You don't want to do MAS every single day. It's too much on the hamstrings. So you just got to think back of the head kind of thing, sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I guess in terms of your 2-hour field session, what are you trying to dedicate most of that to skills, or are you still trying to get your running in? Like you said, you're doing a 3-way sort of rotation.
Yeah. So
is it 15 minute, 45 minutes in total, and then get back into skills?
No, so we get 20 minutes. So it's 2 minutes on the dynamic bit, because what they would do is they would do, say, like every 10 meters up until, say, 30, 40, they would have 4 kind of rolling dynamic stretches. They would come back, do tip on, so the ball was in hand straight away. We did that 3 or 4 times. Then we would split, and it's 5 minutes at each group, 5 minutes for speed, change of direction, and that skill, rotate. And then they're straight off with the skills coaches doing, whether it was like a skill installation, then a con game where I would come back and do a bit of the conditioning part, go back to a skills part. And then when it became the back end of preseason, it was like 40 to 60 minutes of a pose, just running through plays, making a little bit more of a decision-making kind of thing, and just to get combinations working
Using
together.
gameplay as almost conditioning.
Yeah. Pretty much. Because that's what you could do in such a short amount of time.
That's what we do normally in a competition, so
yeah.
You're just applying it to a shorter time frame.
Yeah, it was pretty much like a competition from word go. You treat more your 2 weeks of preseason as 2-week buys. So you had a buy and say you had rep round. So that's pretty much how you would look at it, because they were in season for the other comps. So yeah, it was a very, very unusual season, to say the least. Still trying to wrap my head around how it all worked well together, and it'll be very different next year. I can tell you that.
Were there any athletes that sort of made your life either a joy or just made it so much easier working with them compared to a few others? Or
just all of them. Like they all would come in, have a chat with you, wanted to know what you did during the day. Like they actually generally asked about your life. They were happy to talk to you, and I would ask questions, got to know them very well. And I had to jump in as an extra development player. So I was on the wing, didn't do much, just had to pretend I was there. And the girls were like teaching me how to play footy at the same time, because I've never played it before. And luckily I was like,
you played Oz tag, but
yeah, but not tackle. So I just had to touch them, and they only had to touch me too. Like it was just like 2-hand touch. So I was like, thank God, because I'm not getting tackled.
Keep you safe.
So it was cool being included into the team, and given at Oztag, when you play with boys and them, just cut pass out to you. I actually got the ball passed to me, and it felt weird being included. So, for being completely honest, a little bit of burn there. But yeah, so I go through a beautiful cutout pass to me, and the wing was open, and obviously I wasn't.
It's on your chest, it's not 2 foot above your head.
That too, but if I had been in the position, it was perfect. But I didn't think I was getting the ball. All I had to do was pretend to shadow defend.
Because you're not used to the ball coming out to you.
No.
I think you just need to find better players to play with.
I think so.
Yeah.
New team. Yes. If anyone wants a washed up Oztag player, she's in.
What, around St. George district? St. George area?
Yeah.
Or are we out towards Souths? Cronulla? Too far.
Too far. Close to home.
So if people wanted to be trained or consult with you as an S&C, or they wanted some guidance on something, or at least pick your brain on anything, where would they go? What would they do?
So I'm probably most active on on Instagram. Sometimes we scroll through LinkedIn, but I am there. We're becoming more active on it as some, are maybe looking for interns in the future. So we're going to try and build up and be a bit more active on that. But so it's just Emily Wilson there. And Instagram's my more prominent one. I have 2 pages. I'll make sure I send it to Rob, but just got the Emily Wilson one, where I'm a bit more vocal on opinions, because that's where most of my S&C connections are, where I can rant a little bit more. And then I do have a coaching page, which is more where all the actual lifting stuff goes on, because I separated it from the two, because at the time I didn't want my friends getting sick of seeing it all everywhere. So it got separated. So you can find me on both. It's EJ Athletica for the business one. And then just there's some numbers in it, just Emily Wilson wearing this shirt. So you'll be able to find me. So yeah, come shoot me up on that. I'm always on my phone, or like when I'm not with clients. So yeah, you're happy to hit me up if you want sessions or just chat.
Is there any pet peeves that you got from working with athletes? Like if you could give an athlete a playbook on how not to piss off your S&C, what is it, and what does it look like, and what does it include?
Okay, if you know that you know your conditioning days, be nice to your S&C, because I could tweak it or give you an extra set and you would not know, and you'd be like, oh my God, I died. And like, just say hello. If you keep your S&C happy, you're not going to cop crap. My athletes, I've got a few rules. So with
Do you enforce penalties?
Yeah, so at South, I had a few penalties, and my clients cop them as well. So we had a few rules. My phone was on music. We had our own group playlist. They could play whatever music they wanted, as long as it came off my phone and their phone was in the bag. That way, because we were in the first grade gym, there was no risk of anyone filming and then information getting leaked. And plus, they weren't on their phones, so they were listening to me. They weren't doing stupid stuff. So no headphones, my phone, or nothing else. That was rule one. They're not allowed to go in their shoes. They're not allowed to lift their foot. They always have to have shoes, just because if you drop something if you drop something on your feet, I'm going to get in trouble. Like, oh, well, you was like lifting like an idiot. There's that thing. Also, you'll have more ankle support as well if you actually squat and deadlift in shoes. Because you can see some people roll them in and then it just looks like just scary. So that was another rule. If they were ever late, so our head coach, Dean Withers, for the girls, if they were late to a field session, it was however minutes you were late times that by 6 for Malcolms. So that was that penalty.
And what do your Malcolms look like? 20-meter returns, or?
I think so, yeah. I don't normally program Malcolms. I program sail shuttles, which we call Malcolms B arches, so I don't swear. So we do those ones.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of like you start in like the middle of the 20, you run forward, turn around, run backwards kind of thing. It's really like eccentrically on the hamstring, so it burns your legs even more.
And then you got to do the session?
No, that was at the end of the session. They had to do the Malcolm punishment at the end of the session. For mine, if they were late to the gym, it was an extra set of trunk. So say they were late, there was an extra set for everyone. And maybe that day in the program, they had to do 4 sets of trunk, they would have had to do 5. So that was one penalty I would give out. And if they say, all my clients and athletes have the same rule, if they say core instead of trunk, it's a whole extra set. Because my final undergrad year, we got told it is trunk and not core. So to keep myself accountable, we keep them accountable, and it's fun punishment because everyone knows it as core. So it's just like.
So if you say it, then is there a train the trainer punishment?
No, I never say it. I say, because I said to them, you can say the other C word, you just can't say the middle of an apple or the middle of the earth. That's how I describe it. And I just walk around, I'm just like, what's this called? And I point to my tummy and I'm like, what's this called? And they're like, oh, I was like, extra set. So
Abdominals.
Yeah, we accept abs, we accept tummy time, but not the middle of an apple. Because again, I feel like it's an S&C thing. Like, because PTs always call it like core and like S&Cs, because again, even at South, because I was like questioning it, I was like, why do we have to say this, being that typical, like why? And I finally clicked. I was at a conference one day and they're like, oh, your core is from here to here and you have that oblique band that runs from side to side. I'm like, that is your trunk.
Not that garbage.
Yeah, so I was like, that is your trunk. You pretty much have described like the trunk, and there's more muscles, there's rotational. I was like, just call it trunk.
That's such an old-fashioned mindset, whoever was talking about that.
Yep. I'm not going to names.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to pronounce their name, so even better.
That's probably for the better.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's probably my pet peeves. Like, and then also if I've told you 5 million times what not to do and you still do it, I will most likely be like,
I'll yell at you.
pretty much I do. Especially for this, like, can you imagine if you see 15 clients a day, then go to your team at night and they're also doing the same error you saw all morning? And then obviously you're going to go, what the hell? You should know better. Like, but.
So who's looking after Ems in those cases when she's had a stressful day?
Oh, my rehab girls come up to me like, are you okay? You seem really pissed off. And I was like, well. But normally we've gotten better as we've gotten older to control it. And we just like breathe and we just move on. We just don't look. That's why I can't work in a commercial gym. We just walk away. We're just like, no, can't see that crap.
Does your head.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm in the same boat when it comes to core. I don't probably get as frustrated as you do. I just sort of try and re-educate and defer and go, oh, are you talking about these muscles or like these movements? And they're like, I want to train core. No,
you don't. Nah, it's good bonding for the team environment because they'd be like, if they say it, they're like, why the hell did you like? It's just so they can just keep each other accountable too. So I kind of use it for that respect.
It's also good for culture. Yeah. Having words you can't say and rubbish punishments for it because that sucks. Is there any other gems that you want to share with everyone?
I don't know. I love all my every team I've pretty much worked for. Like, again, get on my good side, and I find again develop a relationship with them, and they're eating out of the palm of your hand. I think besides my South girls, especially this year during COVID, we've got like a really, really tight bond together, and it would be something probably in the future very hard to walk away from. But special mention also goes to my netball girls, the ones I see 4 days a week, the ones I got them into the gym that beg me, oh, when's your availability? Like they are, and I've been with these girls for 6 years. They are like my adopted sisters, even though one of them is my sister. But those girls, like they come to the gym in the morning, say at 6 a.m. when especially in winter.
Are you breaking the news to her right now? Is that what you're saying?
Nah, she's always known. She's always knows this. But yeah, so we were, especially the 6 a.m. sessions in the middle of winter, they saw me coaching in my pajama pants and Ugg boots. I would rock out. I'm like, all right, keep going. And then again, that love, that like, because that comfortable with each other, it was great. They tell me everything. They even tell me about their problems. Just like those athletes, like they're the ones you hold on to. And then you've got this little, well, she's not really little. She's taller than me. My shot putter.
That's not hard, Em. Sorry. Instead of break it to you.
All my athletes except for 3 are taller than me.
I was going to say you're tall for your friends group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually I probably am the tallest out of the girls in our friendship group. But yeah, so she's so sweet. She always asks me, what scrunchie are we wearing? Are we wearing the same socks? Like again, she's 12 and like she thinks I'm gonna take her to the Olympics and I'm gonna be her coach when she does shot put. And I was like,
you might be.
I'll take it. Well, fingers crossed shot put's still there, considering they want to get rid of it. But yeah, I don't know. Everything's good. I guess you got your typical footy environment. Yeah, everyone's got the same stories. I mean, I made it on TV for 4 weeks. That's
Yellow Teletubby?
Yes, no, I'm the yellow wiggle.
Oh, sorry.
The yellow wiggle. Man, Teletubby. What a wiggle. And plus, the yellow wiggle now is girl, so it's even more meant to be. So yeah, got my mug on TV 4 times, which was awesome. So yeah.
Sensational. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for taking the time out for this. Really appreciate it. And I hope, everyone that's listening takes something out of it, super valuable and whatnot. And if they have any follow-up questions, look, they know where to get you at now. Instagram at, what is it? EJ? Athletica.
And then I can't remember my main hashtag off the top of my head, but just type my name in, I'll be there.
And then if you're like another S&C or someone trying to come through, I guess the industry and they wanted to search you up, I think LinkedIn is, you're pretty active on that from what I see anyway. And she's pretty good at replying, guys. Like there's some people that suck and it's just like pulling teeth talking to them. But no, Ems is pretty good. She's really good communicator.
She's also willing to sign off your ACA hours as well and do mentoring for you.
So she's looking for a grommet if you want some like interpretation of what she just said there. She wants someone to boss around. She likes it.
yeah, if you're more than welcome to come in. I know exactly what it's like going through, and you like. When I first started out, I got told I wasn't supposed to be in the gym because I wasn't a boy. So, and I started off as a sports scientist. That's the real reason why it happened. So, if you don't know what you want to do, even if you're in year 12 and you happen to be listening and you don't know what you want to do, just happy to have a chat. You can come see what I do on a daily basis. Come see the gym. We have puppies that visit as well.
Where is the gym, Ems?
My backyard. So we're not going to disclose the address on
Right. Area, like region.
George area.
George area, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're there.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks again. It's been awesome. I think I've learned a few things in terms of sort of what's going on behind the scenes. I see it from obviously a referee's perspective and what we put into training, and it's sort of interesting to see it from what these athletes do, because I mean, we do appreciate it. We, like, as referees, we love the game ourselves, and we just want to see the athletes perform at their best of their abilities. So it's interesting to see what happens, I guess, behind the scenes. And I was trying to see if I could pull anything across to add into my training. So I think I might have to give you a call soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Ems. Take care.